Here's a question that haunts executives. Why do 96% of leaders report being dissatisfied with their innovation outcomes? These aren't inexperienced managers. These are smart, well-resourced professionals with access to the best processes, technologies, and teams money can buy. So what are they missing? I'm Brett Macfarlane. Over 2 years, I researched and worked with over 500 innovation leaders across 20 countries to answer this question. What I've observed fundamentally demystifies and changes how to think about innovation leadership. The conventional wisdom says innovation failures come from poor processes, insufficient resources, or a lack of technical expertise. But here's what I found. Even when leaders have everything they need, the right strategy, the budget, the teams, the org structure, they still struggle. Even the best, it turns out, aren't very good at leading innovation. The real culprit, innovation is as much an emotional challenge as it is technical. Yet the emotional behavioral dynamics are overlooked and thinly understood. Innovation is one of the most emotionally demanding leadership tasks in any organization. You're asking people to abandon what works, to venture into uncertainty and risk failure. It's a departure from the familiar that disrupts one's competency, identity, relationships, and role. That creates intense psychological pressure, not just for teams and a culture, but for the leaders themselves. And here's the kicker. Almost none of the leaders I've studied had ever systematically nor psychodynamically reflected on their emotional responses during innovation projects and how it influenced decision making for better or worse. Even highly accomplished innovation leaders at the world's most innovative organizations fly blind through the most psychologically challenging work of their careers. This led me to develop something I called the Innovation Leadership Map, a framework that helps leaders name and explain and understand their emotional patterns during innovation. But the real breakthrough came when I started using comparative analysis on the framework. I asked each leader to map a good and a bad leadership experience when leading innovation. What emerged was fascinating. Successful innovation isn't about just staying calm or maintaining emotional control and rationality. It's about what I call emotional gearing. Think of it like driving a car and you're cruising along comfortably in middle gear. Sometimes you need to shift into higher gears for power and speed, or to a low gear for control and safety. The key is knowing when to shift and critically not getting stuck in the wrong gear. I found emotional gearing has three distinct positions in the workplace: centered, surging, and stuck. Centered leaders maintain balanced energy and emotional containment. This is one's home base where you want to spend most of your time. This position is strongly associated with positive innovation outcomes. Surging leaders temporarily move into extreme emotional positions. At times, to progress, these surges of high or low energy are what's required to break through or get back on track. Stuck leaders are trapped in these extremes. They can't shift back to center and are at a high risk of regressive cognitive processes and compromised decision. It's a position strongly associated with negative professional and personal outcomes. It's common to burn out, act out, and get thrown out. When leaders learn to recognize their emotional gearing patterns and underlying imprinted drivers, they feel less isolated and more empowered. They may develop what one participant called innovation optometry, the ability to see clearly through the emotional fog caused by innovation's inherent uncertainty. It also offers a systemic perspective to help diagnose root causes of stalled or wasted innovation at individual, team, and organization levels, as explained by the premise of the boundary of innovation tolerance, as in how much change in the form of innovation can an organization tolerate in the here and now, not in theory, but in practice. But perhaps most importantly, emotional gearing helps develop negative capability, the ability to tolerate uncertainty and create productive disequilibrium without being overwhelmed by it, so you can remain on task. Now, here's one way to apply these findings if you support innovation leaders in some way. Ask them to think of their best innovation leadership experience. Now think of their worst. What was the difference between how they felt and how they responded emotionally and behaviorally? That space between the best and worst, that's where the learning lives. That's where emotional gearing can inform and transform how to work with the emotional and behavioral aspects of innovation. Most professionals are already very good at the technical aspects. Let's help them more scientifically and effectively work with the behavioral. If you want to dive deeper into this research or explore collaboration with me, you can find the full paper and assessment tools at brettmcfarland.com or below. And if you're at APA 2025, come find me at the Division 14 poster session number 2. Because here's the point. Innovation isn't just technical work, it's emotional work. And my research suggests mastering emotional gearing helps lead to higher impact, healthier teams, and happier careers. How satisfying. And I'd love to learn more and research this further with you.